Hi, welcome back to Obsessed by Everything Bravo, where we are going back to the beginning of the Real Housewives franchise and watching in chronological order with a modern day lens. Except for we're not watching the Housewives, we're not in chronological order. We are, in fact, watching the Shahs of Sunset, Season 1, Episode 3 today, entitled Champagne Wars. But we're still using our modern day lens and treating this as an anthropological study. So we are opening up back where we left off, which was Las Vegas for Reza's birthday. Where we left off is everybody is a little bit annoyed by Gigi just constantly attacking everyone, needing attention and kind of sucking the oxygen out of the room. So everyone was ignoring her at dinner, so she got up and left. And what I'm assuming is she did not rejoin any of the group because now we are back in the morning. Everyone is up, they're eating breakfast, they're packing to leave to go home. And they're like packed ready to go. They go into MJ's room, not packed one thing. Not packed one thing, and they're all like, "Oh my god, I can't believe it. Shoes still out, makeup still out, everything." They should just realize what they need to do is what you do with your late friend and tell them a different time. Like, you need to be out the door by 10:30. Tell her she needs to be ready by 9:30. I mean, it's just what you're gonna have to do. So then they're like, "Well, let's go get Gigi." And MJ is like, "She's not here. She's gone. She's left. Everything's gone." Didn't tell one single person. Reza says Gigi's behavior is appalling. You're gonna pick a fight with my friend, and then you're just gonna bail without saying anything to anybody. Who does that? So MJ is trying again. She's trying to be everyone's friend, and so she is trying to be some kind of mediator. And she's like, "Well, I'm not going to speak for Golnessa, but as an observer, what I noticed." Rosa was like, "No, you were a participant." And oh shit, what's that guy's name? Sammy. Oh my god. Sammy was like, "You're an accessory." And Reza says, "You don't roll into dinner late and expect a curtsy." And Anita says she's creating all this drama and now she runs away from it. She's just doing it for attention. And MJ's like, "Well, you might be right that she came to dinner late for attention." And Anita says, "Gigi alienates herself, period. She's not a sensitive, positive person." Oh, no, sorry. This is Asa saying that. You know what? Here's what I'm going to tell you. I just use initials when I'm typing because it's just like to write these people's names out would be like 1,000. And sometimes I say the wrong person, like Kyle and Kim. When Kim wasn't there, so I was just using K for Kyle because Kim wasn't there and just writing Kim's name out because it's shorter. Sometimes I get it mixed up. So sorry. Asa is saying this. She says, Gigi alienates herself, period. She's not the most sensitive, positive person. She can be negative and abrasive. And after a while, nobody wants to deal with that anymore. Reza says the next time he sees Gigi, he's going to give her a piece of his mind and an Emily Post etiquette book. And then we find out that they're also leaving on a PJ. So if you have a private jet, why are you giving MJ such a hard time? Like, it can wait 30 minutes. Now, it can't wait 2 hours like some people try to push it. But 30 minutes is totally fine. So now we're back in LA and Gigi is out at a restaurant and she's mad and she's talking to this guy in the table next. And she's like, "I'm so hungry. I wish I could get a menu." Like, this woman is a bitch to everyone. Like, not to the guy, but it's like she's mad because she doesn't have a menu. Well, also, are you going to order without MJ being there? So then, okay, MJ is the one who's meeting her. And Gigi says, "I wish I was wearing a watch so I could tell you how late you are." Ma'am, you were late. You were late to both of the meals. And like, again, they're just like, MJ's just always late, it seems. So that you can't, if she's always late, you just can't get mad at this point. That's just who she is. So then they're just kind of chatting and MJ's like, "Well, have you settled in since coming back from Vegas?" MJ tells us, "Because I care about my girl. I think she should know what other people are thinking. And ultimately, by telling her, I think it will help everyone make peace." And I can tell you, from my decades of watching The Real Housewives, and before that, watching various other reality TV shows, Real World, Road Rules, Survivor, Big Brother, Bad Girls Club, I mentioned before, and just the various other thousand VHS and no, not VHS, VH1 and MTV reality TV shows that I grew up on, cut my teeth on, as you say. It will not help if you tell Gigi what everyone else thinks about her. In fact, that's actually going to create more chaos and terror. Um, it's not going to help make the peace. This time it actually goes okay because I don't think she actually said what people were specifically saying about her, but I can just say, just in my limited knowledge of how life works, this does not work. Okay. So MJ says, you know what? I found out you left Vegas by knocking on your door. And Gigi was like, yeah, I'm sorry. I just don't want to be there anymore. So MJ says, I never want to tell someone how to feel, but Reza felt like your reaction to Anita was up here, but Anita's reaction to you was like down here. And Gigi says, listen, people thought I was trying to kill Anita. I got disrespected by Anita. And then she tells us it was all too familiar to see Anita get in my face the way girls used to in high school. She says, did you see the way she humiliated me like that in order for the ghetto to come out of me? Fourth time she's used this. And she tells us, I went through so much with people saying bad things about me. I have to protect myself. So whenever I go to a place of anger, that's what comes out, my fists. She says, Reza did not see it from the get-go. And now Reza is taking Anita's side. Okay. I wanted to get through the end of that big monologue. So again, this is revisionist history first because Anita was not getting in her face. Anita was not disrespecting her. In fact, Anita was coming from a place of hurt. Like, why are you talking about me? You're talking bad about me. What made Gigi get back on her heels and react out of anger is because someone was calling her out on her bad behavior. It had nothing to do with Anita disrespecting her, getting in her face, calling her names. She was merely stating, you did this to me and I don't appreciate that. That enraged Gigi to where she is reacting violently. The problem is the problem is her reacting like that. But now she's trying to say, well, people have always said bad things about me, so I have to protect myself. Maybe people have always said bad things about you because you react like an animal. Like this is not normal human behavior. You're literally acting like a cornered animal and just reacting with the slightest bit of provocation because you don't want to have that mirror held up to show you your bad behavior. That's crazy. Just so there's like 47 things that she said that were wrong. Or incorrect, not wrong, but like she's telling herself this narrative in her head, which is not how things went through. And the fact that she's lived her whole life like this without cameras following her around, she's probably gotten away with it a lot. She can't get away with it when there's literally cameras. So MJ says, well, Reza saw you, and then she cuts her off, Gigi, and cuts her off and says, it doesn't matter. Why couldn't he just ask me? He took her side. What do you mean? She's trying to explain that Reza saw you the whole time. He doesn't need to ask you. He's taking her side because you're attacking his friend. So MJ goes, well, so now you and Reza aren't cool? And Gigi's like, well, it's not that I'm not cool with him. It's one thing for someone to upset me, but to disappoint me? What? The logic is not logicking. You know what I mean? Nothing here is logical. She's just jumping from point A to point Z, and there's no thought process in between. It's honestly mind blowing. It's wild to me. Like, if it's wild to me that she could have any friends at all if this is the way that she's interacting with people on a regular basis. So like, is this just for the show? Like, I just really don't understand it because all of this to me is batshit crazy. So then MJ's like, well, what about this weekend? Reza's having his champagne tasting party. Are you guys going to be cool? So now we find out that Reza has decided to have a contest because basically Gigi was saying that she could tell like good champagne from bad champagne. And so he's now going to call her on her bullshit, which is like so interesting. Like he's having this whole party because of some kind of comment that Gigi was saying, and now it's like, well, are you even going to go to this party? Like, it's just, this whole thing is wild to me. Like, he's just really doing this to prove a point. Oh, and he spends $8,000 on champagne, by the way. MJ's like, I just want you guys to get along. Why don't you and Reza talk? And she's like, I'm willing to talk to him. And MJ's like, don't wait until the champagne tasting. Let's do it before that. Let's clear the air. Okay, so there's that. I mean, this whole scene is like so crazy to me because it's like, I have two eyes and two ears, babe. I saw exactly what was going on. You were talking shit about Anita. Anita called you out on it because that's what an adult would do, by the way. They're not gonna, she let it slide for a time, but then Reza kind of gave her like, no, you should say something. He gave her the go ahead. And when she was kind of crying to MJ about it, Gigi came up to her and was like, I heard you were talking about me. And she's like, wait a minute, you were talking about me I'm telling her what you're saying about me. And then there's like a little bit of back and forth and Gigi just like attacks her. It's crazy. And then she acts like she's the victim. The way these people can just like spin things in their brain to just be like, well, you attacked me and now I'm the one who's hurt. What are you talking? I'm disappointed in your behavior. It's literally mind-blowing to me because it's just not based in reality. So now we go see Sammy and he has a meeting with Mohammed Hadid. Yes. Crossover characters who are not important really. So yes, that same Hadid that's friends with Lisa Vanderpump from Beverly Hills, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, ex-husband of Yolanda Hadid, Foster, which will be a housewife next season. Father to Gigi, the actual Gigi, not short. That's her name. Gigi, Bella and Anwar Hadid, international supermodels, and now spokespersons for Palestine, or Bella is. I don't know. She's improved from making cringy videos about sneakers. So like we love her. Yes, we're meeting him because Sammy is telling us about all the amazing things that Mohammed does. Now, we already knew this based on his wealth, but he apparently is the biggest residential developer in the United States. He builds homes for billionaires. So Mohammed is going on vacation for several weeks, but he wants Sammy to continue to oversee a new build while he goes out of town. So Sammy is like, oh my gosh, I've got to do well on this. Now, I'm assuming that Mohammed is also like a Shah in the fact that he is also someone who's Persian and living in LA. Not that he's a Shah like on the television show. So they're all interconnected. They all know each other, right? It's like a small immigrant community. And so it's not like he's doing a stranger a favor. It's like this is someone from his own community that he trusts, that he wants to oversee these projects. So Sammy is like, I have to impress Mohammed because then I will have access to his clients for my own property. So this is like a business thing for Sammy. And maybe it's a business thing for Mohammed. We don't really hear what he thinks about it. So then now we're just kind of going around town and we're going to work with everybody. So we go over to Mike's, he's getting ready. He has a pit bull and I'm like, of course he does. And there's nothing wrong with pit bulls, but it's just like, he's the type of guy that feels like he should have a pit bull as a pet, versus like a chihuahua, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, of course he feels that way. He's very motivated to get back to where he was when he was like living high in Vegas. So he says he has had to hustle harder than he has in the last 11 years. He meets a client to view a property that they want to use as a nightclub, but unfortunately there's a bunch of condos on top of it. It's just like, stupid. Maybe a restaurant, which would close at like 11. Also, this client cannot be 5 feet tall. So weird. This guy. Then we go over to Asa, and she says that she is thrilled to leave the drama behind in Las Vegas and get back to work. And she always feels recharged after going to Vegas. She's feeling so inspired right now. Recharged after Vegas, honey. These people didn't sleep the whole time. So she tells us about diamond water. Now, I need to just pause for a minute because in the first episode, she said she was very unsure about releasing her song Tehrangelis because it was going to be a commercial song, like meaning she was going to sell it for it to be on the radio, and she didn't know how she felt about that because she doesn't want her art to make money. Essentially, it's kind of the gist. She wants her art to be art, and she's not trying to get into the commercial space where she's trying to make a bunch of money from her art. But now she's introducing us to diamond water. Now, when I think of Asa, I think of diamond water, which ends up being a water that she sells. Now, let's talk about diamond water, because now she's talking about how she makes diamond water. Diamond water is a term she invented for a feeling that she has. So what she does is she collects flowers that remind her of her grandmother, like the type that would grow in Iran. Then she goes out on a boat in the ocean and she collects water. You're not supposed to drink ocean water. Okay. Like this is where our first problem with this. So then she comes home and she takes this water and she puts diamonds in it and infuses the water with diamonds. And then she mixes the diamonds and the petals and she infuses the water with diamonds and this flower. And then she bottles the water and she carries it around for herself in like these little tiny decorative like flask type of things. And so that way, when she ingests the water or she uses it on her body, it directly connects her to her inner fire dragon, intergalactic Persian priestess. This water is like magic to her. And then she goes, and it's very expensive because there's diamonds in the water. So that is what she does like for herself. And for me is like, okay, cool. You have, lots of people do this. They take crystals and they put them out and cleanse them in the moon and they keep crystals near them. And, we're talking about LA. People are doing a lot of spiritual stuff. Making your own water from diamond and flower from your homeland is honestly not the craziest thing I've ever heard. But drinking it is bad. Like, you cannot drink ocean water. Let me just put that out there as a PSA. But next season, she's going to start bottling and selling diamond water. And now I have to think, was this ocean water? Like, obviously she's not doing it herself, but I'm thinking you were hesitant about using a song that you wrote and selling that because you didn't want to be like too commercial, like sell out. But this spiritual practice where you're setting this stuff out into the sun to infuse with diamonds and flowers, that seems like very personal. Like these are flowers that remind you of your grandmother. And first of all, how do you have a boat? Like this woman, she obviously has money. Because how do you have access to a boat? And how do you have access to just diamonds that you just put in water? Like, what happens? Can you reuse the same diamonds? Are we getting new diamonds every time? Like, how big are the diamonds? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter anyway. But so next season, she's going to be bottling and selling diamond water. Obviously, she's using a bottling plant, and I'm sure that there's just diamonds and the water just gets filtered through diamonds. I would be concerned that a chunk of a diamond might break off and then I've got that in my digestive tract. Like that's kind of crazy. But when you're taking this highly personal spiritual practice that you're using to connect you to your inner fire dragon, intergalactic Persian priestess, and then you're selling it, again, this is not logical. This is not a logical practice. Like, you know what? It is what it is. Diamond water went over like the black water, to be honest, like a lead balloon. Nobody's buying this shit. So now we follow her going to her studio because she's still working on an album. And then they're like, oh, did you bring the diamond water? And I was like, oh my God, they know about her diamond water? No, because that's what her next song is called. It's she made a song about the diamond water, which is fine. It's her art, right? But I don't know. It's tacky. This whole thing is like tacky to me because it just doesn't seem like you believe your own bullshit if you're bottling and selling the spiritual practice. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. That's just me. Whatever. Do what you want. I don't care. I really don't care. Now we go to see Reza and MJ. And first of all, they share an office in their real estate office, a nice corner office. And now we follow them and they're both showing their own clients real estate. Okay. And MJ says, you know, there are a lot of stereotypes about Persians and most of them are true. We're loud, we're gaudy, we're clannish, we wear a lot of gold and we drive really nice cars and we're all in real estate. And then they're just kind of talking about the differences between their selling styles. And it seems like MJ is just really like, nah, okay, whatever. No pressure approach. But Reza's like, no, we got to do this and they're going to give us a deal. And if you don't buy this, you're crazy. Very like a high sales approach. And then MJ was like, I don't know why he thinks he's so much better because I actually make more money than him. But it's a very long scene of us following them around selling real estate. Then we go to see Mike and he's driving a Porsche, but he does like that very like old school thing where you like sit way far back. It just where you're, you know, he's sitting so far back that he can barely see above the steering wheel in this Porsche. And it made me laugh so hard. Okay, so now we go over to MJ's condo, and she is going to make time and space for Reza and Gigi to clear the air. Reza tells us, Gigi's behavior was out of control. I love Anita, and you don't go after a sweet and innocent animal. That's like a bear going after a bunny rabbit. Gigi arrives and she sits down and it's like awkward. They're both just like staring at each other. So MJ starts and she's like, we're here to resolve this. We're here to hear everyone's side of the story with open ears and open hearts. And Reza's like, yeah, I want to hear Gigi's thoughts. And Gigi's like, well, I didn't know how everyone felt until we all got back to LA. And Reza's like, well, you know, what you do reflects upon me. That's how our culture is. And Gigi says, when I was attacked, I felt I had to. Reza goes, how was she attacking you? And Gigi says, because she came up to me with these allegations that had no sense to anything. And Reza's like, no sense. You were talking about her. Gigi says, well, what was I saying? Reza says, as soon as she came up to me, I said, don't keep it in. Go say something. So then both the girls laugh and say, well, that's it right there. And Gigi says, she came up to me with my 6-inch heels on. This girl gets in my face, yelling at me, talking shit. That was your birthday party. She could have dressed me before we went out to dinner calmly. No, that's not what happened at all. She was complaining to MJ about how mean you were being. You heard your name and came in and said something to her, and then she went up to you. Well, let's not get it twisted. And Reza says, well, if Anita had done the same thing that you had done, I would be disappointed in her too. And she's like, she did do the same thing, except for I talk louder. Reza tells us Gigi is still trying to sell the same old snake oil that she was trying to sell in Vegas, that Anita was attacking her. So Reza knows what's up. He's not believing this. Reza says the way that she was talking to you was disproportionate to your reaction. Basically what he's saying is Anita was being calm and you went crazy on her. And Gigi was like, yes, I was a lot louder. I was like a barking dog about to bite the head off of it, about to bite off a Chihuahua's head. And then the camera pans down to MJ's dogs, which just happen to be Chihuahuas. And they're like, ooh. So then Gigi's like, I have this pain inside of me. When I'm attacked, I feel like I have to physically hurt people and demolish things. And I don't care. That's crazy. That's actually violent and dangerous. What she said was, I have this pain inside of me when I'm attacked, which she was not being attacked. She was being held accountable for her own actions. She was not being attacked. She says, when I'm attacked. So what she needs to say is when I feel like I'm being attacked, not when I'm attacked. Anyway, I feel like I have to physically hurt people and demolish things. That is fucked up. It's interesting that she can identify that though. Like she sees that, but she can't stop it. That's same thing with like Brandy Glanville, for instance. It's like she can identify the behavior. She still can't stop the behavior. So Gigi tells us that she's been in therapy her whole life, mostly because of her anger. She tells them, I do have a history of not taking shit from anyone and handling things in a violent manner. And that is what I resorted to because I feel like that's the only way I could protect me. She has a history of handling things in a violent manner. Well, no wonder people are talking about you, babe. Like, that's not normal. So she tells us, I felt like I had seen past those bad, aggressive days and I was ready to move on with my life, settle down with someone, figure out how I go about that without letting my past come up. And obviously with Vegas, that happened and none of that worked. I find it so interesting that she's also got this like all or nothing attitude. It's like, she's talking about her future. She wants to find a husband, settle down, move on with her life. But obviously that didn't work. So, she's throwing the baby out with the bathwater because she made like one mistake. And in that moment, she's just so quick to anger that she's just like ready to throw it all away. This girl has some issues. Did I tell you that she brings knives everywhere? Reza said, if your anger or your rage is directed at someone who is outside of our circle, I might feel differently, but between two people I care about, it's unbearable. He says, I think Gigi has this hair trigger temper and she sees things that aren't actually happening and the combination is lethal. Again, Reza really hitting the nail on the head with this one. Oh, just gosh. So he says, I'm having you guys over for champagne. I want you to enjoy the event without any problems. So now Gigi is like she's flipping the switch again. And she's saying, I adore you. I just think you're the best person. It was hurtful. I don't know. There's something is going on. Like there are some real issues with all of this. Okay. Rosa's like, if I'm going to have an issue with someone, I'm just going to address it in the moment. Okay. So now we go back to just like following people around and seeing what they're doing. Mike has dinner with his mom. He's a real mama's boy. And she's like wanting him to settle down. This is kind of like the theme. And they're like, well, in the Persian culture, that's in every culture. We're going to say that's in the Italian culture. That's in the Cuban culture. I mean, any culture that we have that we meet. I mean, this is like your white Southern mom. They all want you to settle down because, I think there's this thought. It's like, okay, you're married, you have a husband, you have a wife, you have a home, you're getting children. My job is done and I can relax. I think that must be the thing. But I love it when people just like, it's like when somebody said, well, food is very important to our culture. And I'm like, yeah, that's how food is important. The only people who are saying food is not important is like the almond moms. To every other culture on this planet, food and having food at your events is important. It's just like, we're all the same. It's just like different. There's just different outer looks. You know what I mean? We just have different hair textures. Everybody else, the insides are all the same. Sammy is watching over Muhammad's build. Reza, he goes to get the champagne and he's tasting it with caviar. So much caviar. The caviar to me sounds like absolutely the most disgusting thing. I would never, ever, ever put a molecule of caviar in my mouth. I guess I'm just trash. I don't ever want to, it doesn't look good to me at all. Caviar, it's like making a resurgence. I'm tired of it. Long story short, he spends $8,404 buying champagne and caviar for this party. Okay, so now it's the day of the party. We're fast forwarding through. And he's like, I'm nervous about how everyone is going to behave. This is the first time we're getting together since Vegas, and well, you saw what happened there. So everybody is arriving. They're laughing. They're talking about Vegas. Mike brings that girl from the pool party. MJ comes. She's not late. Okay, now Gigi arrives. She's the last person, and you can tell like the mood shifted, and everybody's kind of nervous about what what is going to happen. And also says, of course, Gigi arrives needing 10 pounds of extra attention because she comes in late. There's always something with Gigi. And Gigi tells us, well, I saw Anita out of the corner of my eye, and the only way to be polite in this situation is just to ignore it. I was like, no, or you could be polite. And so, they're in Reza's home. There is probably about 15 people. So it's quite a lot of people in like his living room. And so they're all kind of standing together, and Gigi's just like in this circle. Anita's also in this circle. And, MJ is like, hey, will you like come and just say hi to Anita? And Gigi's like, no. And she like turns around and like leaves the circle of people. So at this point, Anita just starts laughing because she's right there. I mean, she sees all this, and she's just telling Reza, and she's like, she won't even say hi to me. And it's just like so funny. So now Anita, this is where Anita might be wrong, but you know what? Whatever. She goes and she starts talking to Asa, and she's like, she wouldn't even say hi to me, even after MJ asked. And Asa is like, maybe you should go talk to her. And Anita's like, you know what? No, this is not the right time or place to have this conversation, but I plan on doing this eventually. So now we're following Anita, and she's in the kitchen, and she's telling Reza like what happened, and then she's telling some other guy, and now she's telling that guy David that we don't know very well, and now she's telling Sammy. And Reza tells us, Anita was going from person to person to try to convert all these people from Team Gigi to Team Anita. She was like saying hi to her constituents, holding babies, shaking hands. And then Gigi, so now we go over to Gigi, and she's going over to Mike, and she's like, oh, what about your girlfriend? Is your girlfriend here? And Mike was like, she's not my girlfriend. It's just a girl I'm dating. And he tells us, I'm not going to allow Gigi to push my buttons. If she wants to get away with that with Anita, fine, but she's not doing that to me. So it's like these people already have Gigi's number. I don't know why they're allowing her to just be chaotic. Okay, so now it's time for what the whole party is about. And it's like about the champagne tasting. And so the person who's doing the tasting goes into the kitchen and behind closed doors. Okay. And then Reza's pouring out all the different drinks. They already know what brands it is, and they're supposed to guess. And so they're all really terrible at it. Gigi doesn't, I think she gets one right, but then Mike does really well. And so I don't know. It's just kind of fun. Also, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between any sort of alcohol. Like I'm not there. And then at the end, Gigi gives Asa a host. Oh my God, I can't talk. She gives Asa a toast because she was like, you were such a good friend to MJ for helping her in Las Vegas. And it's just like, this girl is like running the gamut on all the different things that you can be. So, okay, we've seen, now everybody's drunk because, right? Because they've tried 5 different types of champagne. Plus they were already drinking. And we've seen Anita going person to person talking about Gigi, right? So at one point, Anita goes into the kitchen, and Gigi follows her in, and she's like, Anita, do you have something to say to me? I'm done with you. What you did. And Anita's like, well, what did I do? And Gigi's like, yeah, what you did, because I reacted to you. Have I ever done anything to make you think I'm a spiteful person? I've always said good things, even about that dress. I said, she looks gorgeous in it, though. I like the little bow on the end. And Anita's like, well, I bought that dress like that day, and your compliments are backhanded. You said I wore it 5 years ago. And Gigi's like, no, because you heard it from someone else. Why do you have to be so gullible to believe everyone else? She didn't hear it from someone else. She was sitting right next to you when you said it. She heard that straight from your mouth. And everything else that you were saying, she overheard you saying that. So this was this argument was crazy. And this is again why, like, Gigi's spinning these stories in her head and they're about stuff that doesn't make any sense. So Anita's like, I'm not that gullible, actually. That's not what occurred. I saw it. You guys were giggling. And so Gigi's like, I don't know what giggling you're talking about. Why am I being accused for your giggling? And now she's pointing to MJ because now people are coming in, they're hearing this. So Gigi says, Anita's still, to us, she says, Anita's still justifying herself. I don't want justification. I want you to admit that you did something wrong. I can't even get through it. What did she do something wrong? She like confronted you about your own bad behavior? Oh my God. I mean, I'm team Anita. Also, Anita, just side note, gorgeous. She is beautiful. Like, just goddess. And she always like has this really dark eyeshadow on, which looks really good. I feel like that comes in and out of style a lot, but for whatever reason, it looks really good on her. Now, am I saying that any of these other people are ugly? Obviously not. I think Gigi is very pretty, but Anita's a goddess. So now Reza's here and he's trying to talk, but Gigi is like, she has this like spoon. It's like a ladle. She has it in her hand and she's like wringing it. And everybody just starts looking at her weird. And she's like, it's just she's like, it's just a spoon. Why? I don't know why everybody is. But if people have to stop their conversation and like address an object you're holding in your hand, there's a problem here. And they're like allowing this. I personally, when I was in my late 30s, could not have been friends with someone like this. Like, I need my peace. You know what I mean? Like, this is crazy. And Sammy is in the kitchen because now everybody's in the kitchen, right? I think Asa and Mike are not here, but everybody else. And plus there's a couple other random people. Sammy's like, you guys just need to let it go. Like, when you jump at her, she's going to jump back. And Gigi goes, I don't jump, I bite. So Sammy goes, we get it, Gigi. And Gigi says, I'm not a normal person that you should piss off. So at this point, everybody's talking, right? And they're all kind of talking to Anita and they're just like, just let it go. Don't worry about it anymore. This has kind of gotten out of hand. So Gigi screams and she's like, I can't have a conversation when you guys are all in here talking. You guys need to shut the fuck up. And MJ is hammered, okay? Like, again, MJ's hammered. She's been hammered this whole time, but she's trying to talk sense. She's like stumbling. Her eyes are half closed. And she points to Gigi and she's like, she is not a normal person. This is genius. She's right. And so then now that actually kind of broke the tension because MJ's just so hammered. But then she also is like, yeah, this bitch is crazy and she's genius because she said it. And so they all start laughing. And Reza is like, clearly this is not something that we're going to be able to resolve here. Can we just do like a kumbaya and hug? And Gigi's still pissed and she's like, no. And she like leaves and goes out. And she tells us that there was too much going on. It was like, you know, stirring something in her. So she needed a moment to herself. I'm thinking she's got some kind of undiagnosed something. I mean, hello. Like I said, we're the same age. I was undiagnosed ADHD. I had to diagnose myself. And then I did go see a doctor, guys. I'm not, but I was like, yes, she's got something because in girls, it was just like, okay, they're fine. You know what I mean? Like, you're very much able to just code switch and cover it up. Same thing with her, except for she's got a lot of issues. I mean, the violence is the fact that she can't control herself. And then, so she takes a few minutes to herself in the living room and then personality shift again. She pulls Anita aside and she's like, look, so apologetic. She's like, from the bottom of my heart, I never meant anything to hurt you. I wasn't trying to hurt you. I'm so sorry. I know maybe you don't feel like you came up to me with hostility. And Anita's like, yes, I understand that you weren't intentionally trying to hurt me, but I was just kind of asking, why would you be saying that stuff about me? And Gigi's like, no, next time in that situation, you know, you can just come to me and it won't be like that. And then they hug and they leave. The total shift from screaming, gripping a silver spoon. Like this spoon was metal. It wasn't like one of those OXO ones where it's like soft. This was like this silver decorative ladle that had like it was like, you know how like a silver spoon where it's like very decorative. And of course also these people are all about like the flourishes, and this thing was jagged on the side, and she's gripping it and like wringing it like wringing out a washcloth in her hands. That's how upset she was. She's talking about how she doesn't jump, she bites, she's screaming, telling everyone to shut the fuck up, to take a few minutes to herself and just totally switch a personality and be like, I'm sorry, if you ever feel that way again, come to me. Why would I ever do that? When the first time I came to you, you literally bit my head off and were kicking at people. And oh my God. And then they hug it out, and then they're like, it's okay. And then Gigi's like, and I need another hug. Like there is something wrong with this woman. And like I said, I'm not done a rewatch. So I can't remember if we ever really get to the bottom of her issues. I know that she does do a lot of therapy, and I mean a lot of therapy, on camera therapy, off camera therapy, but this person is so volatile. And it's like, I get to the point where I'm like, oh, now I know why she doesn't have a job. There's no way this woman could hold down just like a regular job or like interact with people. Maybe if she was just like doing some kind of computer programming like by herself, maybe, but there's no way she could ever be like work with a customer, have a boss. There's just like no way. So it makes total sense, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like my feelings toward Gigi were always pretty positive. Like she does crazy shit like this all the time, right? But this, to me, maybe it's just like, again, I'm a different person now than I was in 2012 when I was watching this. This shit is so scary. I don't know. It's wild to me. But that's the end of the episode. So I haven't watched the other 3 episodes. That's going to be next week. Again, if you do not see new episodes from me, that is because I'm snowed in and have no power. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen. Because I am trying to get a little ahead so I can like take vacations and take breaks if I need to. But yeah, so I'm excited to see what the rest of the season has in store for us. And again, these people were made for reality TV. I mean, this is batshit. Thanks so much for joining me. Again, this is my PSA every week, but find your joy, find your hope, and they can they can never beat you if we still find joy in each other, even if it's just overanalyzing crazy behavior from 15 years ago, you know? If that is what brings you joy, have at it, babe. And we'll see you next week. Fingers crossed that I don't get snowed in. I hope you have an amazing week. Let me know your thoughts and feelings. As always, rating, review, subscribe, and you can always donate to the pod at Buy Me a Coffee. The link is in the show notes. Bye.